Hello, Glen Ground. We are live and welcome to Thursday Live Lesson. My name is Aldrine Guerrero. I am your host for today, and joining me, as usual, is Mr. Aaron the Voice Nakamura. Say what's up, Aaron.
What's up?
And to my right, your left, I guess, we have Kahai the Legend Fergan. Say what's up, Kahai.
What's up?
People always wonder because, they're watching the live stream. They're like, oh, why does Aldrine look here or there? And it's only me. Like, I'm the only one on camera, but I'm always talking to this person and this person. So when I'm talking this way, it's Aaron Nakamura. This way, it's Kahai Fergan. So with that said, you guys know how this goes. Thursday Live Lesson is a place we can answer any and all of your questions to get you unstuck a lot faster. So if there's something that's that's kind of weighing on your mind about the ukulele, like you quite don't understand how something works, or if you're like having a hard time with with the technique, you can totally ask us any questions like these, and we'll answer them here on Thursday Live Lesson. And we like to just kind of talk and chat about ukulele. So it's it's pretty much all like all around talking shop kind of deal. All right, so and if you guys are watching this, thank you so much for signing up for UU Plus, because UU Plus members can watch this video stream. But if you guys are listening on our podcast, thank you so much for downloading the podcast. And for those of you who don't know, we are on iTunes. Please download Thursday Live Lesson podcast on iTunes. All right, with that said, let's kick it off. What's the first question?
This is from the Black Egg, and he asked, was hoping you could talk about upstrums, more specifically Ukulele or Kimo style of playing, the pinch technique, and how to implement it into my playing.
Okay.
There's also like a part two, but we can maybe we can do this.
So the pinch, the upstrum and stuff, like I'm not one who who uses it, and I mean, like when somebody uses it correctly, it works, and it works a lot. And what that is, you're kind of pinching the you're pinching the strings like this, where your pointer finger strums up and your thumb kind of goes down, and that's how they're getting a strum down, but at the same time getting a good upstroke on a note. So for example, if your note is right, so you get a nice down strum, and at the same time you get that pluck on the A string, because usually our melody line goes on the A string. You get that nice pluck up on the A string. And if anything else, it's also just a good way of just kind of getting the rhythm to keep going, because instead of just this down up down up down up strum, they can pretty much do this down strum with their thumb and up strum with their pointer finger, and it allows them to get into finger picking from there on. Or if if they want to do some thumb picking, they can. So if you guys are watching the video, sorry for those of you guys listening to the podcast, if you're kind of doing this with your fingers, so down with the thumb and up with the pointer finger, you can alternate if you want. Sometimes they do it at the same time, so you can either do it thumb in the front, pointer in the back, or thumb in the back, pointer in the front. I like to use thumb in the front, pointer in the back, because my thumb is a little bit long. So when I do it thumb in the back, my thumb is kind of at a weird angle, but that's you can use it either way. But those are the advantages that you can do for with that strumming pattern. So Ukulele uses it, and who else did he? Kimo Husty. Actually, Ukulele learned it from Kimo. Kimo's one of the first people who kind of uses that technique. Okay, and a lot of the time it is to kind of get that A string, get good. What's the word I'm looking for here? To get a good accent. I was like, what's the word? To get a good accent on those melody line notes on the A string, because if we're strumming down, you're hearing this G and C string first, okay? And then you can strum it loud so that you can get that A string melody line to ring out. But if you use that pinch kind of strum, notice how you hear that A string right off the bat. So because you hear the A string right off the bat, it's gonna stand out a little bit more. So when you're doing melodic stuff like Ukulele does, it's actually really good to do this technique. So if you're interested in doing this kind of technique, I would suggest checking out some some finger style songs, like maybe Guava Jam. So you can do that instead of doing the strums on Guava Jam. You can just do this kind of pinch strum. So instead of, you can do it. kind of like that. So it's like you're you're playing your thumb with your thumb and your pointer finger, and it just kind of keeps the rhythm going, like I mentioned earlier. And it's mostly used with fingerstyle, with fingerstyle picking. Okay. If you wanted to use that with with regular songs, I guess you could. You could maybe like strum with your thumb and then add some accents with the pointer finger. So like. From there, you can go to a finger picking. But I know Kahai does it from the back here, which is weird.
Oh, he uses his
thumb from the
back and his pointer finger
yeah,
forward.
so you can kind of do this. Yeah, that kind of strum. So you get that. So that kind of allows Kahai to get those like weird rhythms that he does. So when he does the I'm not even gonna attempt it. Something like that. I don't know. I don't know what he does with his ukulele.
I feel like a lot of Kalai's playing too is like kind of speeding up and slowing down, not the tempo of the song, but like momentum. Like you hear more things going on, and then he like slows it down where you hear less. Yeah, and then he picks it back up.
He's got great control. I mean, Kahai is one of the best ukulele players today. If you guys don't mind me saying that. Like, if you guys have never seen Kahai Gameao before, do yourself a favor, look him up on YouTube. He's amazing. We have some stuff here on Ukulele on the Ground with Kahai, but we haven't had him on in a long time, and I think he explains like just basic music theory. I think he did inversions and whatnot. Yeah, so if you want to check out Kahai, we do have him here on the site, and he's like a huge performer. He's going all over the world now. I mean, he's insane. I think he's gonna be doing the Italy gig that I did like 3 years ago. So I'm kind of stoked to see his Instagram post with all pizzas and stuff. Gotta gain some weight, Kahai. You're losing too much. Eat some pizza. Okay, what was part B? Or part 2? Second part.
Yeah, he said... Also, I know the whole low G versus high G debate has been overdone.
Yeah.
But he wants to know whether it's better to play 3 fingers for high G and use 4 fingers for low G picking.
So I've gone on record saying that like 4 fingers to me is a little bit redundant. And it's a bit too much, because if I'll explain it one more time. If I'm gonna be using these 4 fingers right here, that means thumb is gonna go on the G, pointer is gonna go on the C, ring finger is gonna middle finger is gonna go on the E, ring finger is gonna go on the A. So ring finger, when's the last time you did anything with your ring finger? Like when's the last time you used it? I mean, I play a lot of video games. I never use my ring finger, I believe that video games and playing ukulele is like the two most, or playing music in general is the two most like finger heavy like things that you could do. And I play the ukulele, other than like maybe doing rolls on my ukulele, I've never really used my ring finger, and so it doesn't have that much strength in it. Is what I'm trying to say. So if you were to do that 4 finger technique and using that ring finger on the A string, you're not gonna have too much control over the A. I know a lot of people say otherwise, but this is just Aldrine Guerrero's opinion.
Or just the fact that the A string is where most of your melody line is gonna be.
So because most of my melody line is gonna be in A, I don't really want to use my finger that I don't really use on a daily basis to to give them the job of playing the A in melody line, so and my my pointer finger, totally fine, if it's gonna play the C string. The C string is the bass string of the ukulele. It's pretty important. That's my most I want to say my most used finger. Middle finger, same thing. E, it's okay. I would rank it maybe like 3rd place, and 4th place to me is G. Other than using the G for for ghost notes and maybe like some string pull-offs and stuff, I don't really use the G string. So my thumb, which is one of my most dominant fingers, I'm gonna be wasting that on the high G. Maybe if I had a low G instrument, maybe I could use it on the on the G string, but I wouldn't really do that either. So I would go thumb on the G and C, and then pointer finger in E and A is what I would do. So normally I would use these 3 fingers regardless if I'm using low G or high G. My thumb gets double duty of G and C because it's my most dominant finger, like I was saying, and to give it 2 jobs, not a problem, and I can just kind of alternate between C and G, and even more so if I had a low G ukulele, I'd have that low G and then have that C, like I'm alternating between 2 bass strings. Pointer finger then goes on the E, middle finger goes on the A. So I use my pointer and my middle finger, for the most part. I'm one of those people who like types on the keyboard like this kind of. I use my ring and pinky finger too, but for the most part, I'm like doing this. I'm a claw typer, and so I use that a lot. And when I play video games, it's my R trigger right there. My middle finger is my R trigger for my Xbox and PlayStation, so I use that a lot. These 2 fingers I use a lot. And if I'm gonna use that on the E and the A, totally fine because I have good control over these 3 fingers right here. So I'm gonna use these 3 fingers to play my ukulele. Instead of doing important jobs anyway. If I'm gonna be doing finger picking, that means you're gonna hear the tones and the notes that my middle finger and my pointer finger, my thumb is playing. If I were to do that, I can do that with my ring finger, but like I said, I want to give that job to a more dominant finger.
Do you have your the uke strung up with the low G, like
This one?
Yeah, because like what you do like for jams and stuff is you actually use that low G kind of a lot, right? Like you to like Aaron, when Aaron's playing behind you, he's playing the low G to kind of emphasize that bass note
the first, the first.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Just just that 2 finger kind of.
So he's using this thumb to kind of like add the bass notes and stuff. Or maybe even some like bass ghost notes, that you would add in there. So if I'm gonna do finger picking, notice that whenever I hit the A string with my middle finger, it's got good tone in it. If I'm gonna hit it with my ring finger, it feels so weird.
Kind of weak.
It feels weak. I mean, the tone is still there, I guess, but control, I'm not gonna get it. So really,
but that's the thing is that if you're comfortable doing that and developing that dexterity, then you can totally do that. So it's just like personal
preference, and I think it stems from a lot of guitar players switching over to ukulele because ukulele only has 4 strings. You only need I guess 4 fingers to cover the strings, but for the most part, because we have that that drone high G high G string, we really only need these 3. Okay.
Yeah. I think I think like that, or there's something that like Aaron does where like you pick the G and then you kind of like for a chord, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm playing like a high G right now, so it doesn't make sense. But like that's a very that's like a very guitar technique.
I'll use 4 fingers.
And like I feel like that kind of stems from like, at least for me, like listening to Ernie Cruz Jr. Like
getting that thumb on the bass line.
Like making sure to really get that thumb on the bass, right? Because like it was only the 2 of them, so like there wasn't really a bass player.
And that's why like I've Aaron's gotten that style, that Ernie Cruz style of like playing bass because like Kahai said, we only really play as a duo, so getting that bass heard is pretty important, and you can do that with the with the low G ukulele as well. So you don't really need a guitar to to do that kind of strum or to do that kind of rhythm pattern. But still, you would use your thumb on that, right? And
do you kind of do like it's almost like bass slaps too, like where you kind of like make your palm flat, Aaron, and then like you slap the strings for like extra percussion too? Because like I feel like I do that too, and that is like again from Ernie Cruz Jr. to just fill in the gap because it's like, oh, there's no bass player or there's no drummer, so it's like, oh, there's like little gaps here that you can just kind of.
Mike Muldoon, percussion, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
That's not a known well-known.
Yeah,
it's not a well-known thing.
I think if I'm doing accompaniment, I will use like 4 fingers because I'm not playing a melody line. But as soon as I start playing a melody line, I switch to 3, so that my middle finger will kind of bring out the melody. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's my answer to that. And I've mentioned this, before on Thursday Live, that like I don't really like to use my ring finger on anything important like melody lines. So why would I assign my most important string to one of my weakest fingers? And that's basically what it boils down to.
There's like a technique though that you do where you it's like a acapella, or not acapella, it's an arpeggio where you use all 4 fingers to spell out the chord, right? And for that, it's kind of like it isn't the melody line, so you can kind of get away with.
Yeah, but that's more like into out technique, like if you're spelling it out like from low to high, like I'm still using these 3.
Or like not doing not doing into out, but like actually going
straight through.
Like G, yeah, like
almost. You hardly ever do all 4.
Yeah, all 4. Yeah. Like I wouldn't go like it's it's kind of tough, like
kind of out of order.
You would kind of do that like fast into out.
I think like I've seen you do it for like solos though, where it's like, it's just there's a chord that you can play, but instead of like playing it like with just like strumming down with your thumb or with your pointer finger, your fingers are already there, so it's just like you spell it out. You spell out using arpeggio. So
yeah, I use my pinky, and that's like to kind of add those and I think I've done that for some of the solos too. Yeah. I use my pinky finger to like add add an accent to the rhythm. So like let's see what's the song that I do. So dun, 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 da, da, da. How do I play that song? I swear I wrote that. I was like, what key? So pinky finger, because I have a long pinky fingernail and ring fingernail. I use that nail. It's gonna be a nice bright sound because it's long, yeah. And I've mentioned before that the shorter the nail is, the more full the tone becomes because it's closer to your to your skin. Therefore, a little bit more density thanks to the flesh part of our finger. But my nail, my ring finger, my pinky finger is so long, it's actually perfect for rolls, because for rolls I want it to be a nice bright sound. And I
want that extra noise,
extra noise,
clacky kind of noise. Yeah.
Right? So when I do, slow songs like that, to add a little, I guess pizzazz of brightness in contrast to like the nice warm tones of to get that nice
during the strumming part.
Yeah, so it's nice bright, hit on that first, like this compared to this, big difference. So.
I know you've also been talking to like specifically like Eleanor during like one-on-one coaching about using your thumb for like doing like when you do like more jazzy songs or like songs where you want that kind of like the tone to be more muddled, right?
Yeah.
Like so you'll use your thumb to strum, and it's all about like thinking about like what tone you want.
What tone you want for if you want a darker tone for for jazz and blues and whatnot. Because if you think about it, the old school like jazz musicians, like they would use like their thumb. You got guys like Wes Montgomery, like he did it because he didn't want to wake people up like when he was like practicing it.
I didn't know that.
So, yeah, so that's why he has this like just like crazy thumb thumb style, I guess, of playing guitar. It's because he was late night he was trying to practice and he didn't want to wake people up, so he was like using his thumb, the flesh, so that he would get like kind of a deader sound with it. But he got so good, he's like, why don't I just play like this like, all the time? But a lot of the jazz musicians like that kind of tone. They get specific guitars to get that kind of tone.
It's like a muted tone, I guess.
Yeah, and then like even when you get like a electric guitar too, like those musicians, they'll like make their pickups like a certain way where it's like kind of more muddled, right?
Yeah, more
like,
towards the neck. Like the pickup is more towards the neck instead of like the ones by the bridge. Yeah.
And then like even that, like turning the tone knob, like instead of going to 10 where it's like clear and you can hear everything, like turning it down to like 5 or like way down to. So yeah, I think it's cool to just like think about like if you're playing a song, like think about like, oh yeah, like what do I want?
Kind of tone.
Yeah, I can play all the notes, but like what do I want the person to kind of feel like with these notes that I'm playing?
Yeah. So going back to our to what the original question was, my ring finger I just basically save for things like rolls and stuff like that. But I wouldn't really use it in finger picking or any kind of picking at all actually, unless I broke this nail, and this nail.
Like, it's a fourth in line.
So it's a fourth in line. So I can be like start doing my tremolos with my ring finger. And I got pretty good at doing that. It has happened. It has happened. So, and I've broken that.
Fourth string.
And I've used my pinky finger. And it's like, it's just out of necessity that I learned these skills. So it's not, you're not gonna see a uke minute on like, oh, learn how to play with your ring finger, because no one should.
Yeah, that is a very last resort kind of thing.
Yeah, I think a fake nail instead.
I think it's one of those things where it's kind of like, it's like using 4 fingers is like a little bit much for ukulele, but you also don't want to just say like, oh, you'll never do it, because like you might, like there's occasions where it's just like, oh, it happens, or like without consciously thinking about it, I think like you'll just pick something or you'll do something with all 4 fingers.
At one point I exclusively used like the ring finger, because that was like the first time that I've noticed my pointer finger was like just getting bust, like because my pointer finger, since I'm doing all this like crazy strum, it first started when like when Pure Heart was like a thing and I started doing the strumming thing. But because when Troy Fernandez, he's not that strum heavy, but that's why he used his pointer finger to kind of pick. And I remember my pointer finger like breaking, or like basically breaking, because it's so brittle. I didn't really have a nail on my middle finger either, but I kept these too long for those little rasquedos, that Pure Heart does. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this. And for like a good year, like I played like this. And I've talked about being, playing on stage for the first time at Kanikapila Kako. And there's a video from that very first appearance at Kanikapila Kako years, many moons ago. We played Europa, and there's that part that goes, all right. I would use my ring finger there to do that. But even though at one point in my career my ring finger was my primary like picking or tremolo finger, I would still advise against using that like now. That's coming from a guy who used to use that exclusively.
So Yoda asks, is the 3-finger chunk more of a percussion chunk?
Yes.
So
because you're slapping into strings, and not only are you making noise from this from your fingers slapping on the strings, but it's your strings also slapping on the fret wires as well. So when you're doing this, it's like the whole like getting a nice percussive feel to it. And I do it to just kind of get that 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's like an acoustic guitar technique.
I feel like that's a pretty natural thing, like even if nobody tells you like, hey, this is how you should play guitar or whatever, or this is how you should play, like when you pick like that, your fingers are gonna want to do something, and just
Yeah.
going back to resting is like pretty natural.
yeah.
And then it's like, oh, it makes a noise,
Yeah.
so like,
I guess you're going back to like rest stroke, right? And
Yeah.
yeah,
just, like,
you're
rest,
getting ready
yeah,
for
it's
your
kind of
next
a-
pick almost, right?
Yeah.
Like, or your next pattern.
because it's like free stroke, like when you're striking up like that, but then you're
And-
like resting it back and then a free stroke on top of it. So it's kind of a cool combination of like rest and free stroke.
Do you want to explain, just for people who might not know, what rest and free stroke is, like the basics of it?
A rest stroke is basically you're striking the string and then you're resting it on the string right below,
Or the same
or just
string.
or the same string. So you're kind of resting it there, and then a free stroke is just like striking the string but then going out. So most of the time when we do finger picking, that's like free strokes, because you're doing this and you're just kind of plucking up. Sometimes people use rest strokes on, like on finger picking as well. Like if they pick up, they'll go up to the next string up. So a lot of the times when you got guys like doing like, they're kind of resting it on the E string, or even just like I can't do it on that, but then that's kind of how they do it. They go like this.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. So whenever you see people do that, that's like a
And that's kind of that's also like, or I don't know. I use that a lot for bass
Oh, yeah.
playing. It's just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Bass,
for
yeah,
bass,
definitely
you
bass.
see that a lot.
John asks, are there any general rules on hitting specific notes when picking a chord?
No, I mean, if you're looking for for a general rule or just something to follow, I would say when you pick a chord, make sure to just accent whatever melody line you want or whatever note you want to come out. A great video on this is the Pluck Strum by Jake Shimabukuro, and we have it here on Ukulele on the Ground. It's one of our uke minutes, and it's like kind of doing that finger picking technique and getting one. And that's where I guess I would use my ring finger.
All four.
All four. When I'm like kind of hitting all four. But even then, I don't. Just don't tell him. Because he told me to do that. Where's my...
Yeah, we
sorry.
mentioned Jake.
But it's actually relevant. I'm not like...
First,
I'm
yeah.
not like recalling a story with him and stuff. And like, remember when me and Jake were friends? Like...
Yeah.
It's one of
my
those
good
stories.
friend,
It's like,
my good friend Jake.
I guess it could be like, remember when me and Jake were friends and we were at the Outrigger and we're like, hey, let's do a
You shouldn't
minute
say-
together.
You shouldn't say, remember when we were friends, because it sounds like we're not friends
I guess so.
anymore.
I'm the guy not returning his calls.
Oh.
I know. I'm a terrible friend, but I'm sorry. I'm a kid now, and I know you have two. But
Yes.
that's...
He has two kids.
I can't win. Either way, I can't win.
He wants to wants to confide in you. He's like, oh yeah, I know how hard it is to be a dad. And it's like, Aldrine's not even
What
getting
would
back
you
to me.
know about that, Jake? Staying up late and tending to your child.
He's probably got like 5 assistants to like hire to take care of his kid or something. But yeah, we need that button. Jake, watch. Jake alert. It's my Jake alert button.
You said the word of the day. The same
It's a word
word,
for every
same
day.
word of the day.
It's like an inside joke. I love it. We should have like we should make a shirt like Jake's my friend shirt.
Close personal friend.
Close personal friend. I think it'll sell like hotcakes. I'd wear it every day. I think. All right. Next question.
Well, like there. I don't know. I don't really see other questions.
Do you remember that day? We were we were at it was KBR, right? Kauai Beach Resort. We were there and we were filming with him, and we asked him like, what is there something that you can kind of show? And he's like, oh, I guess I'll show this. And we've actually referenced to that quite a bit, and it was just like something that he had. Like, I guess I could go do this. And I remember watching it for the first time and thinking in my head specifically, like, why would you use your ring finger? Like, Jake, I don't normally like disagree with him, but this is one of those times I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'm doing it like that.
Yeah.
I would do the same exact concept, like with with doing that, but then I would just do it with these 3 strings instead of like the 4. So I was thinking like,
But Yeah, but he
So-
knows what he's talking about, though.
Yeah, I guess. I guess.
That, but like that video, like it's pretty crazy to watch him actually do it, and then him talking about you want to be able to like have such good control where you can emphasize, even though you're picking all the strings at the same time, you can clearly hear one string coming out, like where it's just better, you're picking it more, or you're doing something, right?
Adding volume
That's
to
some crazy
that,
control, like because I think, I mean, I've pretty good control, but that is like some crazy like amount of control. If you're doing it with 4 fingers, and like imagine, you know, like I do, like I mentioned earlier, I do a lot of stuff with my thumb, my pointer, and my middle finger. You know, like I write, like I hold a pen that way, like you know, and then to do that technique, that means this finger that you rarely use ever is gonna be stronger than these 3 most dominant fingers in your hand. That's some crazy control. It's like saying, you scrawny kid in the back, you gotta beat up these 3 guys, 3 big muscular guys. And I'm like, but I'm Captain America.
You have to tell the 3 to be quiet.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be able to consciously get them to be quiet.
So that's, you know, like I mentioned, it probably derives from people playing guitar and then like switching over to ukulele. It's because in, you know, you're speaking from like a guitar player's point of view. I would use, you know, 4. I wouldn't use 5. I would use 4. Some people, and that's the debate that I get to when it comes to guitar. Like I wouldn't use 5 fingers, but I would use 4 fingers. Same thing with ukulele, I would use 3, but I wouldn't use 4.
It's kind of, and then for a guitar, do we have? Can you grab, like, is there a guitar over there, Aaron?
Yeah,
that you
it's
could
right
grab?
there. So while he's grabbing that, the 4 is the so there's 6 strings in the guitar. I would use the 4 on the middle 4 strings. And I know, you know, there's a lot of melody line that you can use on the, you know, on the E string of the guitar, but for the most part, like I just do it on the B. I know this is relevant to ukulele, but we're just trying to see like where it kind of comes from. So 4, that's where I would hold my fingers. So 6 strings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd hold it on 2, 3, 4, 5. So
I think the numbering system is opposite, but I mean, it's, the middle 4 strings.
And I would just like with the ukulele, I would alternate between the, you know, the A string and the E string of the guitar. And now that duty goes like from my ring finger on the B string, which is the second to the bottom string, but then I would have my middle finger kind of go here and hit the E string if I need to hit the E string, like so.
I think the way that I've seen it taught is that your thumb, or the way that they teach like classical guitar, I think, is that your thumb does E A D, and then your other fingers cover each of the strings, and like they pretty much stay stationary so they don't move, right?
Oh, I see.
So you're always picking like a bass line, or you're picking something with your thumb, and then your other fingers are filling in like kind of with doing more arpeggios or something else.
Yeah, I wish I took like some formal guitar training. I think I would be a better ukulele player, but maybe it's because of that too. Like some people who've had like formal training, because I know Matt, he does our, you know, webcam sessions. Matt uses 4, and he's had formal training, you know.
Yeah.
And same thing with Jake, like he uses 4, and he's had formal training.
I think, well, it's like Aaron said, like I think I can just like go back and forth, and it just depends on what the situation calls for, or like what I feel like playing, you know. And then like so Christine, like she asked if we could show the 3-finger chunk again, and like that directly kind of, or at least like to me, like that comes from just like guitar players, right? Like doing that, they don't do like a chunk like how you do it for ukulele. Most of the times they're just like tapping the steel strings against the body of the guitar, or like the neck of the guitar. So
yeah, okay, so here's the 3-finger chunk. So the 3-finger chunk, you basically have 3 fingers on thumb on the C, pointer finger on the E, middle finger on the A, and your thumb's kind of like spread out so it touches the G string as well. Okay, so what you're doing is kind of like just having your hand, so from the, since you're plucking up, you know, usually when you When you do finger picking, we mentioned you do free strokes, which means you're kind of up here. So from up here, you just like lay your fingers down, then kind of give it a little push. So because when you're pushing it, it creates this kind of noise. So, and sometimes to get that sound that I'm getting, I kind of hit my my nail on the tone wood, and that's where that sound is coming from.
I think for me, like the driving force behind like getting that like smack is like my thumb, because my thumb ends up being like the farthest away, and then so like by swinging your thumb forward, you kind of have like momentum to really hit the strings and get like some kind of like crunchy noise or something, with it.
Okay. Any other questions?
No. Like, you were like mentioning how you wanna like when you do certain things, you want to focus on like what melody is being played, right?
Yes.
And then that's kind of how, or like if you're picking a chord, like you're picking the notes from a chord, you want to make sure like to still focus on the melody, right?
Yeah, I mean, keep it in mind, and just use your own, your best judgment to know when to highlight the melody line or highlight that note from the melody line, or just keep the background stuff, because sometimes background stuff, playing the background stuff will make when you play the melody line stand out a lot more. So like if I'm doing so when I play so because I'm only hitting that on that second beat, so one
So yeah, so if you're counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, it happens on the 3.
Yeah, you're sorry, not 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh no, it's like an upbeat of
upbeat of 2.
2.
Yeah,
upbeat
of 2. Yeah, so that's
you're strumming up, right?
Yeah, it gives a little bit more accent to when you do it versus when you don't do it. So it's mostly for yourself and the audience. It's like, oh hey, there's that like little moment of melody line. Sorry, I'm like always trying to find the words.
I like
okay. More tea, please. Give me more caffeine, please.
I like there's like people who like we put out the solos and they have chords in it, and then they say like, oh, I want to strum the chords behind the solos, like, but I don't know what chord to strum. And I think the cool thing with the solos is like most of the time with the melody line, you actually like pick the chord, like pick the note that directly corresponds to what chord they should be strumming, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of gives it like the latest solo that we did, Sleepwalk. Like there's a lot of that where the first note you're picking of like, before you strum or do anything is the note. Like if it's a C chord, it's going to be a C note. Or it's going to be, and you can kind of like, you can also kind of see other notes, like even if it's like not a C note directly related to it. I think at one point you pick G note, like a G note on the E string.
Yeah.
And then you transition into a C, which makes sense, right? Like, because there is a G in the C chord. So it's like when you learn those kinds of things, you can kind of see like, oh yeah, you can see why the notes are being played that way or what chords are being played. I think it's kind of cool.
And I mean, if you're pretty proficient with Jake's like pluck strum thing, you could play Sleepwalk, and then when you're doing so when you do that. So you're kind of plucking and getting those, those to ring out. So if you want to, practice something with that pluck strum, Sleepwalk. I mean, just check out Sleepwalk in general. I love that song, and hope you guys like it too.
It would be helpful too on like kind of like those jazz arrangements where you're doing a chord for almost every note.
We were talking about like Autumn Leaves, I think, with using the pluck strum once too, or like Fly Me to the Moon even. I think those are some other songs
where you're doing a different chord for almost every note of the song. And you really need that melody line to stand out, so you can kind of pluck that one harder, that string harder.
So talking about like Sleepwalk, there's like I think it's like, it's just something that I noticed and I wanted to talk today about, is like the rhythm for Sleepwalk, like the strumming pattern. Yeah. Like some people, they have a hard time because it's swung. Yeah. But with the strumming pattern, the way that you made it, it's kind of like the swung is built into the actual strumming, right?
Yeah, because you're doing two down strums rather.
Can you write it out? Like, and I thought like maybe we could talk about it because like, it's like when you think about it, I don't know, it's hard to explain, like, but it is kind of like you're making a strumming pattern that naturally fits a swung beat, right?
So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, 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 down.
Well, like, can you do the down? I think it's down, up, chunk, up, down, right?
Down, up, chunk, up, down, down.
But the second down in that is the first down in the pattern. It's just repeating, right?
Yep. Down, up, chunk, up, down, and then like the next down is on the, I guess on the 1, because it's down, up, chunk, up, down, right? So that down here, at first it's a down, up, chunk, up, down, down, up, chunk, up, down, down, up, chunk, up, down.
And I think when you count that, right, the first down is on the 1.
Yep.
And then the chunk is on the 2.
Yep.
And then you kind of have to, like, you have to fit that next like up, down into just that beat, like.
Well, it's like it's actually because you're doing, it's like a triplet in between.
Yeah.
No, so that wouldn't be a 3. That wouldn't be a 3. So it is. It's like 1 2 3 2 2 3.
1 2 3 2 2 3. Down, up, chunk, up, down, down.
Yeah, and the up is on the. Is because you're doing like triplets. 1 2 3 2 2 3. So you're fitting 3 notes into every beat. Yeah.
With
so the up is on the second. On the third, on the let part of the
2 and
and so that way it's it gives you the swing feel,
and that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So that would be it. So to finish this, I guess we're
so
repeating this
1 and
2 and 3 and 4 and
no, you would still use it for that too. 1 and and the up would be on the
because it's only here.
No, it's on both.
So
1 and
chunk up, down, down.
No.
The
1 and
up, the up. So the up is like part of a triplet, but it's like you're not hearing the other triplets.
Yeah, because and then that's what gives it a swing feel. So can you rewrite that part?
And
yeah.
1
and write the and too.
Yeah. So and
yeah, you're just resting on the and.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
No.
And it goes and
Yeah. So 1
I'm
and
just reading what I
2
wrote,
and
I'm getting
3.
confused.
Yeah.
That's it. There we go. 1,
Sorry for the audio listeners. This doesn't make any sense at all. So
and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so. Yeah.
And it makes sense, right?
Yep. That's so that's how you would do it. And in fact, in Matt's strumming course, when he goes over swing strumming, this is exactly what he explains. In order like swing. For people who can't naturally feel the swing strum, just put it into threes and then
That
strum
triple
your ups on the part of the one and
Well,
Yeah.
like we were talking earlier, like me and you, Aldrine, right? And I asked you like, what is the time signature for this song? Because because like in the original song, the drums are playing tat 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 tat. They're playing
triplets.
triple
Yeah.
and
So-
I was trying to count in threes. I was doing one,
You
two,
can't. Well, you
three,
can do it in
two,
6,
two,
8.
three.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it
Three,
still
two,
doesn't make sense because the count would be like super high if you do it in that
So
sense.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2.
It would be like in the
6.
when I tried to count out the song that way with the original song, the count ended up being in like the 200s. So it's like nobody would do that. You know, it's like that is so much to count. I mean, I guess you could if you feel like that's more natural. But like thinking about it in that sense, kind of like, or bringing it down into fours, and each beat kind of has like a subdivision of three.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it might make it easier for people who, like you said with Matt's course, like who don't naturally feel like the swung, right? Because like for that first beat, it's just like, it's not like it's really anything different, but you're just kind of like holding it for longer than you would hold the rest of the beats that you're strumming or you're playing.
Yeah. So the 1 and 2, that's like your substitution for that 1, 2, 3. Then 2 and would be that 4, 5, 6. That's why I mentioned you could do it in 6, 8.
Yeah.
Because that would be that 6, 8. But since we're counting in 4, we have to consider the triplets within each quadrant.
Can you like demonstrate? Can you demonstrate the actual like song like with playing that?
Sure can. Here we go.
And that's where like that's where people say like, right, with swung songs, it feels like that beat is just like lagging behind, and then it gets to the next one and it picks up, and then it lags behind again and gets to the next one. So it's like kind of like I don't know, it's usually if you're so used to like four, like just segmented fours or segmented 8 notes, you know, like it could be like a little bit hard to kind of pick up like it being triplets. But once you kind of figure it out, it's kind of hard to forget just like playing that, right? Like, and even like counting it out is harder than just like kind of like feeling like, okay, this one is just like a little bit longer than this one.
Yes. Is there any other questions? That basically answers that, right?
Yeah, or
Okay.
so yep. I think
No questions? Or yes, there is questions, or yes, there is no questions.
people are just like in the chat. People are just talking and not really asking questions or
Yeah.
anything.
It looks like on most sheet music for that song, people just list it as 4/4, but there is one that lists it as 6/8 time, which would make sense.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and
Yeah.
and 2. That's how I would.
Even
Yeah.
like and when we were talking about it before too, I was saying like another similar song is Earth Angel, right? I think that's what the song is
I mean,
called.
any kind of 50s,
Yeah.
tune that
Yeah, they
has
did that a
1, 6,
lot.
2, 5.
Yeah.
And then they with the drums like always do play that triplet kind of like, or play the triplets. But then for Earth Angel, like it becomes pretty apparent that it's not a 6/8 song when in the break the drums stop playing and the beat still continues, and then it's like a 4/4 song. Like you don't hear the 1 2 3 1 2 3 of the drum anymore, and then it's just easier to count one.
Well, same thing
and
with
two
Sleepwalk,
and three.
because there's that like dun 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 dun.
Yeah,
2,
that part is
3,
obviously
4,
triplets. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when the like how Kahai was talking about, during there's like a breakdown, in that breakdown, it's not like you count like one, two, three. It's not like it's not.
Or 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Yeah, it's not that it's not that count. So that's when it becomes kind of apparent that this song is in 4/4 instead of but it's got that 6/8 swing feel because it is swung.
Yeah,
but that's how you would kind of like put it down on paper. So it's kind of weird, but
I mean because that happens like all over the place where you would normally count it as 4 just because music like Western music loves 4s.
Yeah.
So even if it is a 3, it's like 4 3s, right?
Yeah.
We'll put them in groups of 4. Put the 3s in groups of 4, because like even if you like
4 bars of 3.
Yeah, even if you think about like something as simple as row, row, row your boat, it's like, how do you count that? Row, row, row your boat, right? 1 2 3
1, 2, 3
4.
1,
But
2,
as soon
3,
as you get to merrily, merrily, merrily,
you
right?
have triplets.
What happens? Yeah,
Triplets.
It's like it's the same thing. So is it in 6/8 or is it in 4/4? It's like, you could count it either way.
One that like blew my mind. Remember when we had to do the seminar on chord melodies? We did like Happy Birthday, and I had to like type it out. I'm like, Happy Birthday's in 3/4, guys. Like I came in the office. I'm like, oh my god, it's
you assume that
I
that's
did.
something that
exactly. It's like 1,
something
2,
that you've been
3,
singing your entire
4.
life is
Happy
just like,
birthday.
it's not. It's not.
I was like,
not
what
4.
It's in 3/4. That blew my mind. I remember coming into the office. I'm like, oh my god. This is supposed to be a beginner lesson. I'm doing something in 3/4 time. Like, no.
Yeah.
The song that when I play, I gotta like remind myself that it's in 3/4 is "Gravity" by John Mayer.
Okay, wait. Yeah. So just to be clear, this is like Happy Birthday is totally separate from this concept. Of,
Right. Of swing.
Yeah, because it's like a waltz.
Yeah.
Happy Birthday is like a waltz, so that's separate from the grouping 3s into 4.
Into 4s, yeah.
But Kahai's next example is an example of that.
Gravity.
Yeah. Is an example of grouping three counts into 4s.
Yeah, and then that's why like it always like kind of, and I think like you experienced the same thing with what is the Alicia Keys song?
Oh yeah, that was my biggest on Ukulele Underground.
And those two songs though are so alike, like too, right? Like chording and everything about those two songs are very similar. And it's easy to fall into like a 4/4 count with those.
Yeah.
But you have to think like, no, it's 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3
or
and like
4 5 6 actually.
Poor Tiana like had to sing with my 4/4 rhythm, like that "If I Ain't Got You" song by Alicia Keys. So if you guys want to see me totally mess up a great song, look up the tutorial for Alicia Keys' "If I Ain't Got You." Chords are correct, picking is correct, strumming maybe.
I think
it is.
Well, even
artistic license that you
I'm gonna invoke my artistic license for that one. Yeah.
Because like the picking is for that song even is like the na 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 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3.
That should have been the first clue.
Yeah, but you know what? It was a different Aldrine Guerrero back then.
Well, like,
what episode was that? Do you guys know?
Might have been. What is it?
Please say like 2 or 3.
10 or 11.
It was like pretty early.
That's pretty early. That's our first year of Ukulele Underground, guys. Some slack, please.
Well, I mentioned that first picking is 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Yeah.
Because you can actually count it in 4 and then it rematches, it like lines back up with the 3/3 count. So like it does kind of make sense, but it's just like if you're picking that way, it's kind of harder to think about it in 4/4. But yeah. So like Devin said, I've seen some in 8/4. What does that sound like? And even 9/8 time.
I mean 8/4. It just means it's like a double, like a double bar, or so just 8 beats. The top number is basically how many beats in that measure. The bottom number is.
You want to like write it down, like.
Yeah. So let's see here.
If you ever see this on like this is on sheet music,
Sheet
right?
music, my faves.
Yeah.
So we're talking about 4/4 and 3/4. So 4/4. Oh, there's not even that line in there. It's like an imaginary line for me, because there's like the
Yeah.
So and then there's like what Devin was talking about 8/4, and we talked about 3/4. We also talked about 6/8. So the top number, okay, means we'll go like this. There it is. So the top number means how many beats in the measure. So you're going. So 4/4 is the most common time. Sometimes in music they just put C. That's for common. They don't even put 4/4. Just put C for common. Like I said, the top talks about how many beats per measure. So in each measure, you're gonna get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how each each measure is separated. Or the song is separated by measures. Okay, and 4 beats to each measure. So an 8/4 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the next measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The reason why they would do this is perhaps maybe there's a lot of notes that are held longer for for that music. So you would want to keep like the phrase all maybe in 1 or 2 or 2 bars. 3/4 means this is that waltz, that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's not an even number like 4. So it's got that kind of swing, swung feel to it, and that waltz, you're kind of swinging back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now here's where it gets interesting. 6/8. Now 8. It's double this number right here. So what the bottom number indicates is how long you're going to hold each one of those. So we said that 4/4, that 4 was 4 beats, right? So this is gonna tell us how long we're gonna hold each beat. So here is a quarter note, and here is an 8th note, and here is a 16th note. Now this gets 1 beat, this gets half a beat, and this gets quarter of a beat. All right, so in 4/4, this gets its full value, meaning this gets 1 beat.
So you would see 4 of those in one measure.
4 of these in one measure. So 3, 4. If we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, it's gonna be 4 of these. It's gonna look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see right here. So bam, 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 bam. And here's a measure. Okay, so and at the same time you can have, say, 1, 2, and then so 4 of these, because this gets half a beat, right? So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so that would still be correct.
Yeah. Or any
or
combination,
any kind of combination of
that would fit into that.
Right. So 8 means that this now gets double its value. So that means each one of these gets 2 instead. Okay. So 6, it's like a long count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But the trick to this is doing it in fast, like a really, really fast beat, fast rhythm. So you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So doing it that way, you can have things like "If I Ain't Got You." So "If I Ain't Got You" sounds like this by Alicia Keys. Oh, I can't even do it right. So each one of those notes is a quarter note. So 2, 3, 1. That's probably why I thought it was 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a really, really fast count. So it justifies the 8 because it's got double, but you're also kind of doubling the tempo as well. So it kind of it's like a 4.
Can you draw like the measure and then show like what with that time signature how much like quarter notes would be in a measure.
I think you even cut it short on when you just did that example.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think
it's one of my biggest mess ups in ukulele underground is that song.
well, like 6/8, like I have a hard time doing 6/8 because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then like that 5, like it's just like a longer syllable or something where I can't say it, like, and I feel like I stumble and then I'm like, oh no, I'm off count. So instead of doing that, like the easy trick is just to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like, and that's where you can kind of like with these like with music, it doesn't have to be all like straightforward. You can kind of make it easier for yourself by like finding what fits your counting pattern or your playing, you know. So for me, that's just like an example. And Lisa said Mission Impossible, the Mission Impossible theme is in 5/4 or 10/8, I think she said. So yeah, there is those, even like those
ones. So this one right here, so it will be what a dot means is you're getting a half. Like so this means 1. So this means 1.5. So 1.5. One. So that means 3 be 1, 2, 3. So bam. Da 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 da. So da da da. Or you could look at it as, if I were to put it, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it's just easier to look at it that way, like this, so that you don't have to write all those down. Or you can like connect them, because that's what the flags are for. So bam, 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 boom, da.
and
because each one of these is double, right? So it's 8. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So each 8th note is now a quarter note, basically, or getting the quarter note beat.
Yeah.
So that's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And even like that, so with 4/4, like that, those notes with the flag, that's gonna be a triplet, because it's like or like,
Yeah,
and then
or
it has
a
a
triplet feel. Yeah.
and it has like doesn't it have like a number telling you how much beats that equals to, like, because
In the beginning, yes. In the beginning of music. Let's get this out again.
sorry.
Okay. So it is. So in the beginning of any music, okay, this is Kahai is talking about. So we got 4/4, and that'll it's gonna have like whatever 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that's what it's gonna look like. That's why I keep thinking that there's always a line in there, but it's part
No,
of the
but it
musical.
is written that way, with
Yeah.
a slash sometimes.
But
Or
that's
like,
where it comes from. But you don't.
Yeah.
It's not like a 4 over 4 like in fractions or anything.
or if
So-
like there isn't what is it called? If there isn't the stag lines, then they do
the line. Yeah.
Anyways.
So here's what it here's what regular music notes look like. Now up here they usually have like quarter note equals whatever 90, like, and that'll tell you like what the beat is, and each one of these quarter notes get 90, like 90 beats per minute. Something like that 6 will probably have like 100 something. So in that sense, like maybe 180 if it was in 6/8. So that like it's a really fast like 180. So instead of 4, yeah, just double the time.
But I was like saying with triplets in the actual like music that sells, the notes are like 3. They look like 3/8 notes, and then with a flag.
There's a number on top. So but that's if you're doing it in 4/4, sir. Now we're just going off tangent. Okay, so for Mr. Kahai here, we got 4/4. So if we had, or sorry, 6/8. Let's go back to 6/8. But we don't really do that in 6/8. Let's see. Instead of doing the let's see, do, and then. So you would do that in 6/8. But if you were in 4/4, It's gonna get more confusing, so I don't want to get into it. So we got 1, 2, 3. That should equal to 4. So 1, 2, 3. 1 triplet 2, 3, 4. 1 triplet 2, 3, 4. Triplet 2.
But it has to have the 3 over it. Yeah.
3. That's what
like,
Kahai was talking about. So the 3 on top kind of like notates that it's going to be a triplet.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it's useful if we start to read music and stuff.
Well, we for our sheet music that we put out, we do put out like
the 3.
We put out some stuff like that, and then people ask like, or like even dotted notes, right? People ask like, oh, what does a dot mean? And I have to explain like, it's not really, it's like something that like it helps, but like you don't have to think about it too much. It's like just if you're playing with the song, just know that you hold it for longer.
Yeah, basically. It's 1.5 basically is what it means. Like with a dot, it just gives it a half of whatever that
value,
whatever
the
note in front of it. So if it's like a dotted quarter note, that means it's gonna get 1.5. If it's a dotted eighth note, then that means it's gonna get 3/4. If it's a dotted 16th notes, then I don't do the math. I don't want to do the math. My brain's not working. We're actually over time. We gotta go to the songs made. Soon. So, any last things? Say whatever you gotta say.
Oh well, no. There were just comments saying like people kind of associate 6/8 time with House of the Rising Sun. That's like a kind of a common one that everybody can wrap their brain around. Just and then other than that, most uke clubs just stick to 4/4 because it's easy for everybody to do.
Yeah, I mean, not just uke clubs. I mean, I think I don't know. I mean, I think I've written like a few like 6/8 songs, but for the most part, it's a lot easier to just write 4/4.
And we can get into this more next week because Mike probably
is gonna be here. So everyone's favorite guest, Mike Odo, is coming back next week. Aaron's gonna take a small little break, and he's not gonna be here for a couple weeks. So you're not gonna be here. So Aaron's gonna be on a small little break. Mike Odo is gonna be coming. I want him to come the next 2 weeks, but if we can only get him on one, that'll be awesome. But next week we're gonna have Mike Odo. So. Let's ask him all the stuff next week too.
Well, I think, and if you guys want to ask Mike music specific, like, or music theory specific questions, it doesn't have to only be music theory questions, but if you have questions for Mike, go to the forum, the Plus forum, and then leave it in like the live lessons section of the Plus forum.
Yep.
So
sounds good. All right. Is there anything else?
I think that's it. Just stay for
songs made easy, and also stick around for the one-on-one coaching right after that. So 2:15 is going to be songs made easy. 3 p.m. is going to be one-on-one live coaching. So stick around. Thursdays are always fun-filled here at Ukulele Underground. If you guys want to check this out or want to listen to this, check out our podcast over on iTunes. Download it there. If you guys are listening on iTunes and want to watch the video, I know we use this whiteboard a lot, so all of you audio listeners, we apologize. But if you guys want to watch the video, sign up for UU Plus, where you can take your ukulele playing to the next level and get all these amazing and good perks here at Ukulele Underground. Okay, we'll see you folks next week, same time, same place. Aloha.